Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among many other things. And we're taking a look here today at Woo Network, which is a fantastic, interesting coin, if you ask me. It's been, short-lived. I think it has a recent ICO date in late August, so it's a fairly newer coin. But I got a lot of requests for this one, very surprisingly, because it's only on KuCoin, to the best of my knowledge. I think it's only available on KuCoin, which is it just creates a unique type of experience when it comes to the price movement. If you probably already know, the price is moving up, whereas Bitcoin's going down. So just, again, this is just strictly not financial advice. I have to let you know that I'm not a financial advisor. I just have a tremendous amount of experience. I've been trading for over 15 years, and my goal is to help you become more of an effective trader. I'm more of a conservative, safe trader. I like to take profits when I can, and I don't like to mess around and be kind of, greedy with my profits. You'll learn that as you progress and learn more about my trading style, and you watch my videos, of course. But I do have a signal group where I send out signals pretty much daily, but I send out frequent signals whenever I take a trade. I share that with my community members, and we all learn and grow together. And I average about 83% rate so far, year to date, so to speak, in the last 3 months alone for the trading signal group. So check that out in your own time. That is available through Patron currently. I will transition to my own method eventually soon. Regardless, check that out, link in the description below. I also have a link to my Telegram community too. Reference that as well. As a good group of folks, so you can learn a lot from that. And obviously Discord, all the social media stuff down below. So check that out in your own time. And without further ado, why don't we just jump into the charts? Let's check it out. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look here at Woo Network. Just before we do, we look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first, get a quick baseline of the market so we know exactly what's going on. In case you are unfamiliar with the channel, we always look at those two things because it's super important to understand, what's going on with Bitcoin, because that really is a catalyst for most price movement. But furthermore, also when it comes to Ethereum, there's a lot of coins in the ERC20 blockchain. So I just like to take a quick peek look at those and move on. And we don't necessarily need to spend a lot of time on it, but that's what we'd look at every time. Because as a good trader, you want to learn all of your angles, and Bitcoin, of course, is the most fundamental one to understand. So if you're good at Bitcoin, you're pretty much good at altcoins. That's all there is to it. All right, so take a look here at Woo. Before we do, correction, let's go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin first. And to preface, specify, I use TradingView.com desktop application. I get that question a lot, so I figured I'd throw it out there. I have a link in the description below for a free month if you're interested in checking that out. Might recommend that considering the fact that you get more than 2 indicators present at any given time. That being said, let's go ahead and take a look here at the 4-hour chart for Bitcoin. Also keep in mind, actually really quick on the 1-day chart, we are 1 hour away from this trading cycle closing, this 24-hour candlestick closing. And I want to note that 44,000 is still a strong resistance, okay? It broke above but couldn't hold above, therefore it's considered resistance, so it's still kind of staying within 41 to 44,000. That's kind of the channel it's in right now. Furthermore, see here, we would probably still be low. Yep, look at that 50-day simple moving average. It's holding the price down. It broke above but rejected off of the resistance level. So at this point, we should see the price maybe continue down. I'm expecting tomorrow for the price to maybe level out somewhere around 41, 42,000, just based on the simple fact that we have this bearish divergence, and Monday and Tuesdays are always commonly red days. So we'll see what happens soon, but I'm speculating within 24 hours we'll have some type of concrete update on where Bitcoin stands. For right now, just kind of stuck on this channel. Now Ethereum, very similar. I can pretty much could almost just say the same exact thing. Difference is it has a major resistance at 3,200 instead, with a support at 2,900. And of course, the secondary support down at 2750 approximately. So we are looking at, again, same scenario where the channel is between 2900 and about 3200 for Ethereum. Moving on to Woo Network. Now this appears to be a new ICO for KuCoin. At least, and when I say new ICO, I'm referring to August 30th. So it's been, I would say, less than a month roughly, but approximately 1 month worth of trading data for Woo Network. Okay. Now we'll look at the 1-day chart first. I don't typically like to cover coins that are this premature, this early, because, just simply put, there's not a lot of data, not a lot to extract. So you kind of, I wouldn't say you're gambling, but you're not necessarily using, a lot of history as a prediction of what happens in the future, because, our past dictates our future, and same thing with currency, right? It's the same scenario. So here with the, as we can see, we've only got about, this is the start of the 5th week. it's kind of still a little early. But today, there was obviously a pretty big spike. I think it was some in the range of 60, 65%. So all in all, you know, yeah, about 67% in one day approximately. So yeah, there's been a lot of movement, a lot of volume too. I mean, I think this coin is somewhere in the 150 range for market capitalization. So it's definitely making some strides. And considering it's only on one network, right? Or one exchange rather. That's pretty big. Regardless, that's kind of how this goes. I wouldn't be surprised if Binance follows suit and adopts the similar philosophy of using Woo Network. Bear in mind, this is not, what is it? There's another Woo out there. This is not that one. Okay. I'm sorry if this causes confusion because Woo Network is newer than the other. I forget what it was called. What is it? Oh yeah, Woo Trade. It's not Woo Trade. It is Woo Network. Okay. So just to preface that, I hope you didn't click on the wrong video. But that being said, with Woo Network here, let's go ahead and take a look at the one-day chart. Now, we don't have any moving averages to identify. We probably don't have much data here as well. Again, the MACD hasn't truly, we don't have enough, range here, enough trading data to get that. That's another reason why I don't love coins like these, but we don't necessarily need to, take a lot from the one-day chart, but it is helpful to note that the RSI is still under 70. It's a good sign because usually when it's under 50, it's considered bearish divergence, right? It's kind of stuck underneath. Now we broke above, we're more so on the bullish side of things. And if there was, a 12 intersecting with a 26 here in the MACD, it would be converging or have converged by now, likely sometime yesterday. So all in all, we can see some bullish sentiment here from Woo. So good stuff there, definitely. Let's take a look at the 4-hour chart so we can identify anything here as well. Price is above the 50-day simple moving average. That's pretty standard, pretty good. We'd like to see that, especially, and keep this in mind, Bitcoin has been selling off and retracing. Let's go to the 4-hour on Bitcoin. We've seen a decrease. I don't think that's significant by any means, but almost 3% in the last 6 candlesticks. And in the last 6 candlesticks here, we've seen a pretty significant increase, right? So I mean, all in all, that's interesting. We like to see when coins move independent of Bitcoin, and it doesn't look like there's really been much here at all that is similar to Bitcoin. This price movement is, I would say, contrary. So there's obviously some good fundamentals here. Perhaps its ICO date, yes, it jumped up and then retraced significantly. But I think generally speaking, the price should be much higher than where it's at when it opened, even more so than where it's at presently. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. Usually when a coin like this takes off after 1 month of being introduced, and Bitcoin's either going sideways or retracing, when we have that kind of thing happen, it's a very good sign when the price is increasing here, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. Again, I don't like to invest in coins like this myself personally. I like more trading data, but this is a very good sign for Woo Network. Okay, so future reference, that is ideal. Definitely what we look for. You know what? I forgot to look. Let's see if there's I would venture to guess we have one. MACD convergence on the 4-hour chart. We do. Yep, September 26, 2021. That was yesterday at about 5 a.m. So why don't we mark that here? Let's go ahead and mark that yesterday at 5 a.m. The reason why I like to mark that is to see the correlation between the MACD convergence on the 4-hour chart. When the 12 intersects with the 26 in an upward fashion, that's considered a buy signal to go long as a swing trader. However, when you look at the 1-hour chart, there's an Ishimoku cloud as well that I like to utilize, and that also gives us further confirmation, and typically those two communicate quite well. In other words, when we get, one of the two will indicate before it happens, right? So hypothetically, you were right there at this point and you'd bought in, you would have been doing pretty well, right? Again, it's easier said than done, don't get me wrong, it doesn't always work out that way, but it's fairly consistent. I would say a very high percentage, because what's happening is the bulls are gaining control right at this moment when the convergence happens, and the bears are essentially conceding. So that's why the price will increase in that case. And you see the inverse happen as well too. When the price comes down, you see a divergence here. Right here, the price diverged, and you can see it took a little bit of a nosedive, a bit of a dip. Just something to know. So that's kind of what you're looking at there on the 4-hour chart. So that's a good sign. Another great sign here for Woo. Let's take a look at the 1 hour though and kind of see how the Ishimoku cloud communicates with that, or if it does. And yes, it does. Keep in mind here, when prices are going sideways, these things are a little less frequent, a little less consistent. In other words, you see this kind of sideways action here. When that breaks above, that's usually a very good sign. Okay? But just note, if you're looking at this from before, the general concept for The Ichimoku cloud, actually, let me go ahead and clarify. If you're new to the channel, when the price is below, it's considered bearish, or considered a sell signal. So you want to kind of ideally sell. Let me get into this. So ideally, you would sell right here, and you would have considered, you would have gained somewhere in the range of 20%. Right? So say you had gone short at that point when the price broke below, that would have been a consideration for a sell signal. You could have got in here and it's still been okay if you look at it here. It would have just been very premature, but it stayed above the cloud the whole time. And when it broke below, that's considered a sell signal, buy signal. So as you can see, there's some false positives where the price can break below and it doesn't stay below for very long. But the general concept is that when the price is above, it's considered a buy signal, and when it's below, it's considered a sell signal. So what I'm getting at here is, just say you see this, right? You're on the 1 hour chart, you're looking at the Ichimoku cloud, you see the price break above. Concurrently, if you also see on the 4 hour chart a convergence on the MACD right here, then you're looking to consider to do a long position. Okay, so that's kind of just like a little reaffirmation, so to speak. It's like a double rainbow. One's awesome in itself, but when you have a convergence plus the Ichimoku cloud break above, that's a significant benefit, I would say. Okay, so just keep that in mind. All right, so moving on to the Ichimoku cloud, let's go ahead and quickly do this here. Let's take a look at TD sequential actually next. And this is something that's good and helpful. It's not really relevant right now considering the fact that we got a bunch of resets and the price is consolidating, but we can kind of look at this and identify how beneficial it would have been before. In other words, if you just take a look here, right, see how it counted from a 1 to a 9 and then it reset, then it started counting up again. Oftentimes when you get that very first reset, you see where it's kind of neon colored. When you see that happen, when you get a 9 on the TD sequential, it basically tells us that the price is exhausted. So the price is, we've had 9 hours consistent bullish momentum. Typically there's a taper effect or some sideways action that happens from there. It rarely will continue to pump upwards. Now this one did, which is interesting in the sense that it just means that there is more gas left in the tank. There is essentially either a fundamental catalyst or the fact that the price has been too low for too long, it needs to be higher, right? There's a lot of little things you can kind of consider, but generally speaking, when we see a 9, it's supposed to retrace and come back down and or at least go sideways to consolidate. It didn't do that, it jumped up again. And in fact, it jumped up so significant that, I think we got like a 100% push in just a very short amount of time. Let me look at this here. What is that? It's one candlestick. 33%, yeah. So we take the 67 from before plus that 33. We're looking at a very significant increase in price in just a short amount of time. So that's why it came back down, of course. But what's cool is the price is still going sideways right now, right? So the fact that it came up and went up that high and it didn't retrace and come back down tells me that this should still be in pretty good shape. Again, pending Bitcoin doesn't take a nosedive to just say sub 40,000, then I think we're going to be in pretty good shape. Because regardless of how good this is doing contrary to Bitcoin, if Bitcoin is just tanking and things are going south for that being the largest coin in the industry, then all coins like these will take a hit. But the fact that this is on a single exchange is a big part of that. There's a lot of things that this has that's going well for it. But to me, when I see a price increase like this after two 9s on TD sequential, we've got basically an exhausted state of bullish trend, and the price is still going sideways. That's a very good sign. So if you have a position open right now, I'd recommend maybe consider moving up your stop loss in case it were to come back down. Usually a good stop loss for something like this would be, I would say, around 75 cents. Let's go ahead and mark actually some support and resistance levels, just so we kind of know what we're working with here. So we can see here the price stopped out about 4 or 5 times. That is, again, that's about 75 cents. That's a pretty strong support level. If we lose that support, we've also got about 65 cents as another support. Okay. Bear in mind too, there appears to be somewhat of a resistance right where the price action's at right now at about 81 cents. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost 7 times it was rejected right there. Because again, keep in mind, it's not how high the candlestick goes. These wicks, that isn't relevant. It's where the candlestick closes that's most important for support and resistance levels. So we can see that right there, that there is definitely a resistance. So my guess is the price will probably go sideways for a little while. It might leg up again soon, but I would say that we need to have some consolidation first. Because when you have ramp ups like this, like we've got, up over, we got this nice little up over pattern. we want to continue that. So the longer we can get some consolidation, the more ideal it's going to be for another leg up. Because if this tries to pump again and shoot like this, we're going to probably see it come down and maybe continue over like that. Again, that's just something I see in my experience. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. It's hard to really predict coins like this. Again, it doesn't have a history. This is all-time high territory. Because again, even though its ICO date, it jumped up to $1.65. The candlestick closed at 60 cents. Yeah, so all this extra movement here means nothing, especially on ICO dates. You really can almost count that first day as a loss or no gain at all, right? But regardless of that fact, we are definitely in all-time high territory right now. So what's going to happen is, based on where the one-day candlestick closes, which it looks like it's trending closer to about 82 cents. It's right about 80 cents right now. Wherever the one-day candlestick closes, that's going to be the new resistance, right? So you can that's kind of where you want to bank it on. And again, there's not a lot of trading data. There's been a lot of movement in just a short amount of time. So at this point, it's hard to really understand where it's going to go. But I can tell you that these support levels are important. So make sure if you're in just say you got in somewhere around the 46 cent range, or anything lower than the price action right now, move your stop loss or set a stop loss to about 75 cents. That way, if it comes back down, you still take your profit and you don't lose out on that. Because even though this coin does have a decent amount of volume, most of the volume was today. Okay, so you got to understand it might taper off once interest subsides and it comes back down. Again, it really depends on what's going on. I don't know the fundamentals here, so I can't anticipate that, right? This is really only just a technical analysis. That's why you always want to do your own research, and I preface that. Make sure you always look at the coins you're investing in to see why they're doing things like this. If a coin is pumping contrary to Bitcoin retracing, there's something there, right? There's some type of reason for it. So just do your due diligence. Not much else we can really look at here. Honestly, normally I'd look at the 15-minute chart for the EMA and VWAP and kind of see where we're at. But I can tell you right now, just based on what I see so far, we're going to be above EMA and VWAP at this point. We're just testing that resistance. Keep in mind too, this does also appear to be kind of an ascending wedge, and that could very well break out to the upside. That does happen a lot. So I guess my speculation here is the fact that we're probably going to see this break out to the upside after a period of consolidation. How high, I can't tell you specifically, but I do think it's previous high, right, of like 165. It's very, very, very strong potential for that to happen again, just based on the short amount of increase and how it's just continuing upwards. Usually when coins do this, they have a tendency of continuing for quite some time, especially coins like this that are restricted to just one network, at least one exchange rather. I keep saying network because it's the Woo network, but I think you get what I'm saying there. Yeah, with it being just on the KuCoin there, it being kind of exclusive, I've seen this happen with a few other coins as well. It'll probably just continue to go upwards. Again, how high, it's hard to say, but the key takeaway here is just continue to, as the price goes up, just keep moving up your stop loss. Heaven forbid you get stopped out, you took some profits at the end of the day, right? That's why I try to teach my patrons at all times, is to make sure you always do the right thing. And by doing the right thing, is what I mean is that, as a trader, we're here to make money, right? We're not here to gamble and to get these diamond hands and get, 50x, right? It's sure that can happen once in a while. You might get lucky. Don't get me wrong. That does happen. And oftentimes, I do get a good 25 to 30% increase on my altcoins when I do swing trades. But if you're in a position right now where you've already made a decent amount of profit, and you got a decent amount in here, take what you can. Maybe sell half your position, take your profits, reinvest it when the price comes down to closer to support. There's a lot of different ways you can do it, because I tell you, at the end of the day, there's nothing better than knowing that you took profit when you could have, instead of holding on for too long and never actually taking any gains because you're too damn greedy to take the profits. You're risking your money here, right? Be smart about it. Anyways, I try to preach that to my patrons. I'm sure they've heard it a million times. So if you are currently a patron, thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate you. But again, we always, we want to focus on best practice. And if you like best practice, I have more of a conservative, safer trading style. I'm averaging about 83% success right now, overall, with all of my trades I've taken in my patron community. So I have a signal group, in case you're new to the channel, where I send out all the trades that I take. I typically day trade Bitcoin and swing trade altcoins, and it's just been an awesome experience. And so be sure to check that out in your own time, of course. But what I'm getting at is just be careful, be smart. Don't try not to Try not to listen to what everyone's saying. Take your own, your own inclination and learn as much as you can to make your own informed decisions. All right. Either way, I tend to ramble. I apologize. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. You're a trooper. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.